Welcome to the Sales to CEO podcast. This podcast takes you from the sales floor to the big office. I'm Louie Herron, and it's my personal mission to coach, teach, and inspire you to realize the opportunity you have in the automobile business. Learn all the strategies, tactics needed to sell not 15 or 20 cars a month, let's think 40 or 50 cars a month, and grow from sales to sales manager, maybe sales manager to general manager, or even the dealer principal, whichever one you desire. Let's drive your career forward together today. What's up, guys? Louie Herron here with another Sales to CEO podcast. Always excited to bring you guys some information and content, some things to help you grow in the automotive space. Listen, if we're going to get better, guys, we've got to put in the work. We've got to have the sense of urgency, some of the intensity that is needed to go to the next level. And that's what it's all about. There's a lot of strategies. There's a lot of word tracks. There's a lot of tactics. There's a lot of things that you can be taught how to do. But I'm going to share with you as clear as I can be. Guys, you've got to have the sense of urgency. You've got to have that want to, that give a shit factor, that you really want to get better. And you can. You can do phenomenal things in this car business, more than you could ever imagine, but you've got to put forth that intensity. Today, I want to talk to you about mastering the close. Now, listen, this isn't going to be a podcast where I'm going to go through close by close by close. You can actually get that on the Sales to CEO content. You can get that on the course, or you can actually get that strictly if you wanted to buy just a closing course. You absolutely can do that as well. And that's at louieherron.com/closing, or just go to louieherron.com and click on the tabs courses. You'll see the master closing. But what I wanted to really share with you was just some key questions, some things to ponder, to understand. When I'm going through a lot of material and things as I'm coaching guys and I'm working with people in the automotive industry, I'm always kind of asking questions, getting questions posed to me. And so it makes me think, why would you think mastering closing is so important in sales? Think about this for a minute. If you really were to narrow it down to three things of why mastering closing is so important, I'm going to tell you three things. These are not the only three things, but I'm going to tell you number one, it's for your confidence. When you become a great closer, when you become the guy that the sales manager calls to the desk because Johnny can't close the deal and he says, hey, come here, I need you to go and close his deal because possibly the manager doesn't want to get off the desk or who knows why. The bottom line is you want to be that guy. You want to have that confidence when you come up to the desk, you're like, give me the deal. Where you at? Where you at on the deal? I got it. And you go in and you lock the deal down, right? So why mastering closing is so important is it gives you confidence. That confidence continues to build for the second reason that it's so important, and that is your cash. That's your money. You can do all the steps that precede a close. If you can't lock a deal down, you got no money. You got no commission. You can't move forward. You got no money. You got no commission. You're not going to have much confidence. So it's important to realize you want to master the art of closing. You want to be able to really get engaged with a customer on a car deal and know exactly where you're at. Now, there's a lot of closers that I know that they need to know every single little detail about the deal before they go in the deal. Listen to me. A closer says, where you at? Guys wants to think about it. Guy, the wife's not here. Guy, he needs to check with his insurance company. Okay, give me the write-up. Boom, take it and go in. You just go in. That's the confidence that I'm talking about, because it doesn't matter what you run into with that client. It doesn't matter what objection they bring up. You are so trained. You know exactly what to say, to the degree that you almost know what he's going to say before he actually says it, right? So the three things I think is important for mastering closing is your confidence, your cash, and the last one is consistency. When you become a master closer, and when I say master closer, I'm talking about every 10 proposals you do, you're locking down 3 to 5 of them. 30 to 50% of the time, a master closer is locking down a deal 30 to 50% of the time. You want to be that guy. When you have this consistency, this is the consistency, this is the magic. This is what allows you to have the freedom to understand your skill level. And again, goes back to the first thing, gives you the confidence you need to lock down deals and make things happen, which in turn gives you the cash you need. When you become a great closer, that is when all of a sudden you're starting to get managers' attention. You're starting to get general managers' attention. You're starting to really get the people's attention that you need if you're going to go to the next level. Production is one of the key things. You've got to be the best closer in the building. I want you so strong as a closer that you could go behind a manager and close a car deal. That's how strong you need to be. So when we're looking at closing, I had a question that was posed to me, and they're like, Louie, what are some of the skills needed to be a great closer? When I started thinking about that, I said, man, you got to have drive, you got to have charisma, and I'm like, well, those aren't skills, right? Those aren't skills. Those things can be developed, but they're not skills. So let's talk about some skills you need to be a great closer. First thing I'm going to tell you is you need to learn how to memorize verbatim. If you get a phone script, a service script, you get a rebuttal script, you get an objection overcoming script, you get, whether it's the difference close, whether it's my wife's got to think about it close, whether it's the perfect close, or whether it's a scale of 1 to 10 close, or it doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's, you have to learn, number one, to be a great closer, you have to memorize. Now, once you memorize the words, once you get the basis, then of course you're going to want to tailor it to your own personality. But if you don't have those words memorized, you don't have that practice, drill, rehearse, you don't have it internalized in your being, it's going to be hard for you to really, really monetize that skill of closing. So to be a closer, you got to have energy, man. You got to have energy. You can't go into a close. You're going into a closing situation, whether it's your own deal or you're going behind somebody else. You can't go in there with this low energy level. People, look, people that they see the frequency you respond is what people frequently see. The energy, the vibe, you got to have that positive, solid energy. And I'm not saying over the top. I'm not saying domineering energy. I'm talking about positive smile on your face, man. That gives you the confidence to be the closer, right? That energy and confidence go hand in hand. The other skill you need to learn to gravitate to is you need to learn to be okay with no until you get the yes. Like you have to learn to really be okay with no. Remember, NO really means KNOW. They don't know enough about you, the product, the pricing to make a decision to say yes. They're not really saying no to you. They're saying, I don't know enough. I'm looking for a salesperson to teach me, show me, educate me, inspire me, encourage me, influence me to say yes. Customers want to buy. They want to buy your car, but they need you to push them over the edge. So again, I think you need to really learn to be okay with no until you get a yes. That also means that one attempt to close a deal, a second attempt to close a deal, and then you're sold, right? You're sold. He's got to go. He's got to go talk to his wife, and you're done after 2 attempts. Not enough. Not enough, guys. Not enough. You've got to be creative enough to ask for the business 4 and 5 and even up to 6 times in a closing situation over a period of 25 or 30 minutes. You can't ask somebody back to back to back to buy something. You've got to have the skill level to be able to navigate through that. So again, talking about the skills you need to be a closer. Let's talk about why people fail at closing. Listen, I'm gonna go back to what I really believe. People fail at closing because they're just not trained. They don't have the right words. I always say you got a gun in your pocket and the bullets are your words. When you run out of bullets, you got nothing to shoot. And so many people don't have the right words. What words do people have in the close? If I could, would you? And what's it going to take to earn your business? Where does that come from? The sales desk. Why does it come? Because the sales manager says, hey, what you got? Where are we at on the deal? What's he want to do? What's it going to take to earn his business? So what do? Consequently, you go back and regurgitate in your own way the same type thing. That's not closing. That's called getting a commitment. Two entirely different things. To close, to become a great closer, you got to have the right words, you've got to be trained, and you got to make sure you're attempting to close more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. Now, I'm thinking about 3 ways to improve some of your closes and something you can do now. And I go right back to what I said. The only way you're going to get strong at closing is, and if you can ingrain this in your brain, practice, drill, rehearse, practice, drill, rehearse, practice, drill, rehearse. Sounds mundane, it sounds monotonous, but I can assure you, when you practice, you drill, and you rehearse over and over and over the rebuttals, the word tracks, the things you need, and you train daily, guys. The beautiful part about the car business is there's a handful of objections, man. There are 15 objections, and they've been that way for the last 30 years. They're the same objections. If you can find 3 to 4 ways to overcome those 15 objections, that gives you 45 different closes. That gives you 3 to 4 ways to ask the customer to buy the automobile. It's not rocket science, but to improve your closing, you're going to have to get the right words. You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to drill. You're going to have to revert. You're going to have to rehearse. So, what are the 2 top things that you can do to be effective in closing? Now, look, there's a lot of things I can share with you, but you're going to have to be really, really strong and learn how what I would call read the room. Read the room, read the vibe, read the energy. Husband, wife, kids are there. Kids are getting ornery. Get them some daggum crayons. Get them a coloring book. Keep them bit. It's going to take you off track. Read the room. Is the wife receptive and the husband not? Who's running the deal? The wife or the husband? The husband or the wife? Reading the room. To be an effective closer, you've got to learn how to read the room. And the second thing I will tell you is you need to learn how to set up the close prior to the close. Now, I talk about this at length, the sales CEO in the write-up process. Strong word track that can help you tremendously to set the deal up to, number one, ask for the gross, but also set the stage that we're going to ask for the money. Okay, you've got to be able to set the close up long before the close. That also means in the needs assessment. You should be asking questions in the meet and greet needs assessment on the demo drive while we're demoing the car, while we're presenting the car, asking questions, affirming that they love the car, they like the car, it meets the expectations, is this everything we're looking for, etc. Long before we get to the close. So you got to learn how to read the room to be effective in closing. You got to understand what's going on around you when you're in that closing situation, and the close must be set up before you get to the close. Remember, in the old school days, there was this pyramid, and it looked like a triangle, right? And if you look at the triangle properly, the bottom segment of the triangle was the meet and greet needs assessment. Then it went up to the demo presentation. Then it went up to the trial close and the write up. But that triangle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as it gets to the top, meaning what? The close, honestly, if we've done our job prior to the close, setting up the close prior to actually getting to the close should take 15 minutes, 20 minutes max. I mean, your demo drive and presentation is gonna run you 30 minutes. All right, your meet and greet and your needs assessment is going to run you another 30 minutes. I mean, you got an hour, hour and 20 minutes before you even get to the close, which should only be a 20, 25-minute deal at best. I mean, really and truly, we should have the deal set up on the right piece of inventory, knowing exactly what we're going to do, what meets their expectations, all the equipment they wanted. The close should not be that long. So again, I think it's important for you to really digest and understand how important reading the room is and setting up the close. Now, again, I had somebody ask me, "Listen, Louie, you talk about closing a lot. What defines a professional closer?" And I always say, whether it's sales training or automotive sales training, depending on the industry, a professional closer should close 3 to 5 out of every 10 proposals. I don't care what you mean, the pool business, you mean the car business, you mean the mortgage business, you mean the real estate business, the insurance business, the financial services business. If you're presenting 10 proposals, a strong closer should be anywhere to 30 to 50%. Period. That should be exactly what it needs to be for you to climb, and that's a benchmark for you to know. If you're writing up 10 people and you're only closing 1 to 2 car deals, man, you're halfway there, baby. You're halfway to where you need to be. And if you analyze why you're only halfway there, chances are good you're not training, or you haven't trained, or you don't have the materials you need, or the strategies or the tactics you need to close in that situation. And by the way, every single time you get into a closing situation and you lose a deal, it doesn't happen. They want to think about it. You couldn't close them. The manager goes in, couldn't close them. You need to stop and reflect back on that whole transaction. Take yourself 15 or 20 minutes. What happened to the deal? Where do you think you lost the deal? This is the only way you get better, man. This is the only way we get better in the car business, is figuring out what we could have done better in each transaction. When Miss Johnson leaves the showroom floor, you go stand out front and you wait for another customer, and you pick one up again an hour and a half later. You've already forgotten about Miss Johnson, and then you're gonna blame Miss Johnson that she was just a flake, or she just wasn't ready to do anything right now. Well, I guarantee you, if she ran into a salesperson, a strong closer, somebody's gonna close that deal. We may not get Miss Johnson back in the showroom. We know the statistics of the B-back rate. I mean, literally, the B-back rate is 33%, guys. I mean, for every 10 customers that walk out on you, 3 are going to come back. Okay, 7 will never, ever, 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 ever return. That is the numbers. That is the percentage of what you should know. So your chances go down greatly once they leave to even get them back on the phone. And I know you guys have experienced that when you've talked to people and you can't even get someone to respond to you, on the phone when you call them back. So Again, and there's ways to overcome that through video, through texting. The last thing the last question that came up that I want to just cover with you guys that I think is important. The question was, why do people fail at rebuttals? So let's analyze what a rebuttal is first. Okay, a rebuttal is a response to something that a consumer has says to you, right? So a customer's about to say, I want to think about it. You're going to rebuttal with your response to that. That's a rebuttal. So the question is, why do people fail at rebuttals? I think there's a few reasons. The first thing is again, I go back to is the wrong words. You don't know what to say. I think it also goes back to the wrong timing. Maybe what you said was right, but it was the wrong time when you said it. But I think the biggest thing is what I call comm lag, right? Is the communication lag time. You can't react fast enough to the consumer's objections. Here's what that sounds like. Guy says, "Hey man, price is too high." And you go, well, let me ask you, well, what if? Let me ask you this question: what if I, if we cut it 1,000, would that make a difference? Okay, so there would be like a real live interaction of what a newer salesperson or a non-seasoned sales guy would do. Number one, price is too high. Soon as price is two, in your mind, you already should have a rebuttal rate waiting to go. Period. And I mean, before he even finishes, you're prepared of knowing exactly how to respond to. How do you do that? Well, you got to know the words. You got to know what to say. It's got to be so ingrained in your system that you know exactly how to respond. So guys, we're talking about being a master closer. We're talking about in the car business really growing and getting better. We're talking about finding ways to go from 8 or 9 or 15 cars a month. Instead of thinking of getting to 20, 25 cars a month, how can we find a way to get to 30 cars a month? How can we find a way to get to 40 cars a month? And I know when I say that, a lot of you are like, come on, man, I don't have enough traffic to sell 30 cars a month. Well, there again, that's the problem. You don't know how to generate your own traffic to create more deals because that's also available to you, through the service department, through prospecting, and my goodness, through social media. You've got $45,000 a year sitting on the table. You got 60 car deals a year. You got 5 a month just sitting on social media. And again, if you go to louieherron.com, you can click on the course Social Media Selling. I mean, it'll walk you exactly through how you can pick up an extra 5 deals, 6 deals a month, an extra 60 to 72 deals a year, multiplied times 2,500 a copy, which are low PVRs, but you're going to pick up an extra $35,000 to $40,000 a year just by doing some of those things. So my point to you is simply that when you're talking about, closing more customers and you're talking about getting more car transactions, listen, it's available, okay? But no one's ever taught you, no one's ever coached you on how to do more than what you're currently doing now. And so to me, that is where there's value that you're on Sales to CEO. You're on the podcast. You can go back to past episodes where we cover certain segments, and we'll continue to cover certain segments going forward of certain scenarios that pop up. You've got the Sales to CEO course that you could purchase and get all the content you need, or you could just buy the master closing, or you can buy the social media selling, or you can buy the leadership and management portion. I mean, guys, the information is available to you. So again, listen, I appreciate so much you guys taking the time to tune in to the Sales CEO podcast. I'm so grateful that the message is spreading, that we can become better car people with integrity, with urgency, with intensity. We can learn new tactics and strategies to help us elevate in this business. Look, I got in this business when I was 20 years old, guys, 20-year-old kid, and I was fortunate enough to climb and buy 2 Toyota stores and a Chrysler dealership. And my dad was in the roofing business, so I didn't come up under any car business. I'm a college dropout. Okay. So don't tell me that we can't do great things in this business. You can do great things. I know it's in you, but you need the coaching, the teaching, the words. You need the timing. You need the charisma, the energy, the enthusiasm. All that can be self-taught. All of that can be self-taught. So I encourage you, continue to log in. We drop these podcasts every Friday. Share them with somebody, man. Send it to the car person, man. Go over them together. You guys should be role-playing together. Listen, until the next episode of Sales to CEO, if I can do anything for you, go to louieherron.com and just shoot me a quick message. Love to help you guys out in any way I possibly can. And I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. Thanks for tuning in to the Sales to CEO podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and share with other car professionals. Guys, it really helps a ton. For those ready to take the next step, visit louieherron.com for the Sales to CEO course and many other courses and resources you're going to need to get you to that 40 and 50 cars a month. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Louie Herron TV for more insights, strategies as well. Let's keep driving your career forward together.